The atmosphere around you has been shifting for days, but you didn't fully understand why. Something in your spirit has been stirring, a quiet pressure, a strange weight, an unexplainable pull that you could not shake. You felt moments of sudden heaviness, moments where your thoughts slowed down, moments where you stopped and wondered, why do I feel like something is trying to get my attention? Because something is. For the past several days, signs have appeared around you that you didn't realize were signs. Small interruptions, sudden delays, unusual dreams, unexpected feelings of conviction, moments of strong intuition, all of them pointing to one thing. You were being warned. You were being called. You were being reached for. 7 times. Not by coincidence. Not by your own mind. But by God Himself. Something serious has been unfolding around your life, something so important that heaven refused to stay silent. Something so urgent that God refused to let you walk past it. And every single time you brushed off the feeling, every time you told yourself, it's nothing, every time you turned your attention away, the sign came again. A repeated tug on your spirit. A repeated whisper in your heart. A repeated warning you didn't realize was a warning. And now, the message is no longer a whisper. It is no longer gentle. It is no longer subtle. This time, the voice of God comes with weight. This time, the message comes with urgency. This time, the warning carries finality. Because heaven has declared. This is the last time. Before the shift takes place. Before the moment arrives. Before the opportunity is removed. Before the protection is lifted. Before the blessing is handed to someone else. God is speaking now, clearly, directly, without delay. And as this message begins, the atmosphere around you is going to change. Because once God speaks, nothing stays the same. But listen carefully. This is not a message to fear, this is a message to prepare. This is not a message of punishment, this is a message of alignment. This is not God pushing you away, this is God pulling you into destiny. Something you have been praying for, something you have been waiting for, something that has been stuck, delayed, blocked, resisted, is suddenly opening. And the moment you hear the words that are about to be spoken, you will understand exactly why this warning had to come. Because the blessing is real. The breakthrough is real. The shift is real. And the danger of missing it is also real. So take a breath. Focus deeply. Let every distraction fall away. Because now, God speaks. And when He speaks, everything in your life is about to move. Like, share, subscribe, and comment to help this message reach others as God intended. There are moments in your life when heaven tries to reach you gently, quietly, softly, hoping you will slow down long enough to notice. And over the last several days, that is exactly what has been happening around you. Without realizing it, you have been surrounded by signals, shifts, and spiritual interruptions that were not random at all. You brushed off the strange feeling that came over you while you were doing something ordinary. It lasted only a few seconds, but it made you pause, as if something invisible was trying to pull your attention upward. That was the first sign. You ignored the moment when your mind suddenly went quiet in the middle of chaos, and you felt a strange stillness settle inside your chest. You didn't know why it happened. It didn't make sense. But for a few moments, everything around you stopped. That was the second sign. You overlooked the dream you had, the one that felt too vivid, too intentional, too heavy to be just a dream. You woke up thinking about it. You even felt it linger in your spirit long after your body woke up. That was the third sign. You didn't recognize the sudden discomfort you felt when you thought about a certain person or situation, a discomfort that seemed to rise from the deepest part of you. You told yourself, maybe I'm overthinking. But that was the fourth sign. You overlooked the unusual timing of a delay or interruption, something that slowed you down when you were trying to move fast. You thought it was just a small inconvenience. But someone was trying to stop you for a reason. That was the fifth sign. You ignored the sudden urge to pray, the moment when your spirit reached upward even though your mind didn't understand why. It came out of nowhere, unexpected and strong. That was the sixth sign. And then, there was the seventh sign. The final one. The one that carried weight. The one that made your heart feel heavy, unsettled, or strangely alert. When that last sign came, you felt it more strongly than the others. It wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't soft. It was a spiritual pull that made you feel as though something was on the edge of happening, something you needed to be aware of, something that required your immediate attention. Because God had tried to warn you gently the first 6 times. But this 7th time, He made sure you felt it. He made sure you could not dismiss it. He made sure the message landed directly in your spirit. And now the reason becomes clear. A shift is happening in your atmosphere. A change is forming behind the scenes. A spiritual door is opening, but only for a moment. And heaven has been working urgently to make sure you don't miss it. Because there are blessings that come slowly. And there are blessings that come suddenly. There are opportunities that return. And there are opportunities that pass forever. What is approaching your life right now is not ordinary. It is not casual. It is not small. It is something you prayed for long before you understood what you were asking. Something you cried over during the nights you felt forgotten. Something your spirit has been prepared for even when your mind didn't know what was happening. But here's the truth that many people never understand until it's too late. Blessings have timing. Assignments have windows. Breakthroughs have moments. And destiny waits for no one. God did not warn you 7 times because He wanted to scare you. He warned you 7 times because He is trying to protect something important, something fragile, something powerful that is coming toward you, something that the enemy would love to snatch, block, contaminate, or destroy before it reaches your hands. You stand at a crossroads right now. A spiritual intersection. One path leads to breakthrough, the other to delay. One path leads to blessing, the other to loss. One path leads to destiny, the other to regret. And God will not watch you walk away from what He prepared for you. Not this time. Not again. Not when you are this close. Not when the blessing is literally at the door. Which is why heaven declared. This is the last warning. This is the final alert. This is the moment that cannot be ignored. Because the blessing approaching your life has weight. It has purpose. It has power. And if you miss the next instruction, you risk missing what was meant to change your future. Listen now. God is about to speak directly. Your spirit will recognize His voice. Your heart will understand what your mind has been struggling to see. Do not turn away. Do not get distracted. Do not let anything pull you out of this moment. Because everything begins now. Like, share, subscribe, and comment to help this message reach who it was meant for. There comes a point in every spiritual journey where God stops whispering, and begins to speak in a way that cannot be misunderstood. A moment when heaven draws a line in the sand and says, "This far, and no further." A moment when God decides that gentle signals are no longer enough, because what's at stake is too important, too sacred, too connected to your destiny. Right now, you are standing in that moment. The atmosphere around your life has been shifting for weeks. Pieces have been moving quietly in the background. People have been revealing their true intentions through small actions you almost ignored. Situations have been turning in directions you didn't expect. And deep in your spirit, you have felt something building, slowly at first, then stronger, then unmistakably. That feeling wasn't anxiety. It wasn't fear. It wasn't imagination. It was a warning. A divine alert. And God has been trying to get your attention through every possible doorway, through your spirit, through your dreams, through your intuition, through your environment, through people, through timing, through sudden interruptions that made no sense in the moment. But when you kept brushing them aside, when you kept explaining them away, When you kept telling yourself, maybe it's nothing. Heaven made a decision. A decision to speak more clearly than ever before. Because the spiritual activity around your life right now is not casual. It is not small. It is not random. You have reached a point where the next move you make will shape what happens in the coming months. This is divine timing. This is spiritual alignment. This is the moment when heaven steps in, not to punish, not to frighten, but to protect. God has watched the conversation spoken behind your back. He has watched the intentions of certain people that you could not see. He has watched the enemy's attempts to distract you, weaken you, delay you, or drain you. He has watched the emotional battles you have fought in silence, battles no one else knows about. And while you were trying to stay strong, trying to keep moving, trying to handle everything by yourself, heaven was watching, and stepping closer, and saying, enough. Enough of the confusion. Enough of the negative energy. Enough of the wrong people draining you. Enough of the spiritual interference targeting your progress. Enough of the cycles designed to keep you stuck. You may not realize this yet, but some of the situations you've been struggling with are not natural, they are spiritual. Some of the delays you've been facing are not normal, they are strategic. Some of the people around you are not simply in your life, they were assigned to either elevate you or stop you. And God has reached the point where He will not allow you to be slowed, blocked, or misled anymore. He has decided to intervene. He has decided to speak. He has decided to expose what needs to be exposed. He has decided to end what needs to end. He has decided to guard the blessing that is approaching you, because this blessing has purpose attached to it. And that is why the message you are hearing today carries weight. This is not a gentle encouragement. This is a divine alert. A serious one. A final one. Something important is moving toward your life, a breakthrough, a shift, a blessing, an opportunity, a door, a divine connection, and for the past several weeks, the enemy has been working overtime to make sure you miss it. That is the real reason you have been feeling spiritually unsettled. That is the real reason your sleep has been interrupted. That is the real reason your emotions have been shifting unexpectedly. That is the real reason certain people have been acting differently around you. That is the real reason you've been feeling watched, drained, or overwhelmed for no obvious reason. Your spirit has been sensing what your mind couldn't yet understand. A spiritual battle has been happening around you, and heaven has been fighting on your behalf. And today, God is telling you exactly why He warned you 7 times. Because something is about to unfold that will affect the direction of your life. Because a divine window is about to open. Because the blessing scheduled for you is time-sensitive. And because if you are distracted, confused, or spiritually disconnected, you risk missing what was prepared for you. God is saying, this is the moment to wake up. This is the moment to pay attention. This is the moment to listen. Because I will not warn you again. Those words may sound intense, but they are not meant to cause fear. They are meant to make you aware. They are meant to pull you back into alignment. They are meant to remind you that your destiny is too important to be taken lightly. The blessing coming to you is not like the ones you've received before. This one carries the power to shift your life permanently. This one is tied to your purpose, your calling, your promise, your next chapter. And God refuses to let anyone or anything sabotage it. Which is why He allowed that discomfort. Which is why He interrupted your routine. Which is why He made the signs stronger each time. Which is why He sent this message today. Because the blessing you are about to receive requires you to be awake, aware, aligned, and spiritually ready. God has said, enough. Because He is not letting you go into the next season blind. He is not letting you walk into the next door unprepared. He is not letting you lose something that was meant to elevate you. The warning is not punishment. It is protection. It is love. It is guidance. It is preparation. And now, everything is about to unfold. Keep listening. Like, share, subscribe, and comment to help this message reach others who need it. There is something happening right now that you do not see. Something unfolding quietly, silently, almost invisibly, yet its impact is about to be undeniable. A stranger has been positioned in your path. Not a random person. Not a coincidence. Not an accident. But someone hand-selected by God to play a specific role in your life at a specific moment. This person is not from your past. They are not someone you have depended on before. They are not someone you would have ever thought to ask for help. They are not someone you would naturally run to. In fact, the thought of them being part of your story right now may feel almost unbelievable. But that is how God works. He often sends blessings through unexpected people. People you wouldn't normally trust, notice, or choose. Because He wants you to recognize that the blessing is coming from Him, not them. This stranger is carrying something you need. Something connected to your next season. Something you prayed for when you were at your lowest. Something you begged God for when nobody else listened. Something you didn't think would come this way. And while you have been trying to understand your situation, God has been arranging theirs. While you were asking for guidance, God was whispering instructions to someone else on your behalf. While you were waiting for an answer, God was preparing a person you have never met to deliver it. Sometimes God sends angels. Sometimes He sends opportunities. Sometimes He sends warnings. And sometimes He sends people. Strangers who step into your life at the exact moment you need them. Strangers who appear at the turning points of your story. Strangers who bless you simply because heaven told them to. Strangers who obey a divine prompting they don't fully understand. This person has felt a pull towards something they cannot explain. They have felt an urgency. A pressure. A prompting to act quickly. They may not even know why they feel compelled to move, but heaven knows. They are being pulled toward you. Drawn toward you. Positioned for you. Because the blessing they carry has a timer on it. It is not meant to sit in their hands. It is meant to reach yours. It is meant to activate something in your life. A breakthrough, a shift, a release, a confirmation, a provision, a divine push. But here is the part that God needs you to understand. This blessing requires your openness. It requires your discernment. It requires your willingness to trust His timing and His direction. Not your assumptions, not your fears, not your past experiences. Because if you close your spirit, if you ignore the nudge, if you let fear make decisions for you, you risk turning away the very blessing you've been praying for. That is why you have been feeling this strange heaviness in your atmosphere lately. That is why you have felt watched. That is why you have felt spiritually alert. That is why your intuition has been waking up. Your spirit knows something is moving toward you, even if your mind cannot see it yet. This stranger's arrival in your life will not look dramatic at first. It will be simple. Unexpected. Almost ordinary. A moment you might overlook if you are not paying attention. But the moment they appear, something inside you will recognize it. Something in your spirit will shift. Something will feel strangely aligned, strangely familiar, strangely right, even if your mind tries to question it. That is the sign. That is the confirmation. That is how God marks His connections. This person is not coming to take from you. They are coming to give. They are coming to contribute. They are coming to deliver something heaven placed in their hands for you and you alone. It could be a message. It could be a warning. It could be an opportunity. It could be financial support. It could be a door. It could be a key. It could be information. It could be a link to your next destiny connection. But whatever it is, it carries the weight of heaven's intention. It carries divine purpose. It carries the answer to something you have been waiting on. And when this stranger steps into your life, their role will be clear. Their timing will be precise. Their presence will feel orchestrated, not accidental. Their arrival will feel like a missing piece sliding into place. This is why God warned you. This is why God urged you to pay attention. This is why the signs kept repeating. Because if your spirit is not awake, if your discernment is not sharp, if you are distracted, overwhelmed, or spiritually asleep, you could mistake this blessing for nothing. You could walk past the very person heaven positioned for your breakthrough. You could close the door that God opened. This blessing is fragile, time-sensitive, purpose-filled. And heaven is not willing to let you miss it. The stranger is already moving. Their steps are already ordered. Their path is already aligned. Their assignment has already begun. They are being guided toward you even right now. Stay alert. Stay open. Stay sensitive to the pull of the Spirit. Because the next shift in your life will not come from someone familiar. It will come from someone unexpected. Someone God chose. Someone God sent. Someone carrying what belongs to your future. And when they arrive, your life will not remain the same. Like, share, subscribe, and comment to help this message reach the right people. There is a spiritual doorway standing in front of you right now. A doorway that was not here before. A doorway that only appears in very specific seasons of a person's life, seasons where destiny is shifting, timelines are changing, and heaven is preparing to release something that cannot come through any ordinary passage. This doorway has been forming slowly. Piece by piece. Prayer by prayer. Tear by tear. Battle by battle. For months, even years, your spirit has been walking toward this moment without realizing it. And now the door is here. Right in front of you. But it is closed. Not locked, simply closed. Waiting for your hand. Waiting for your yes. Waiting for your awareness. Because some blessings cannot enter your life until you make the first move. Heaven has done its part. Now God is waiting for you to do yours. The message is clear: open now, or lose the blessing forever. It sounds intense. It sounds urgent. It sounds like a warning, because it is. Not a threat. Not punishment. Not fear. But a reminder of divine timing. Every blessing has a window. Every miracle has a moment. Every destiny shift has a point of activation. Every breakthrough has a season where the spiritual alignment is perfect. And right now, this moment, this exact point in time, is your alignment. You are standing in the one moment where your spirit, your prayer, your growth, your healing, and God's timing have finally met in the same place. This is why you've been feeling spiritually unsettled lately. This is why your emotions have been shifting. This is why certain people suddenly fell away. This is why past desires have been fading while new desires are rising. This is why old cycles feel uncomfortable, tight, and unbearable. This is why your spirit has been waking up at unusual hours. This is why your intuition has been louder than it has ever been. Your soul has been sensing something your mind cannot yet interpret. A spiritual doorway is open, but only for a moment. The blessing meant for your next chapter is standing on the other side. So close you can feel it. So near that your spirit keeps pulling you toward it. So real that parts of your life have been rearranging to make room for it. But here is the crucial truth. God will not force you to open the door. He will not drag you into your blessing. He will not push you into the next season against your will. He will warn you. He will nudge you. He will send signs. He will awaken your spirit. He will send prophetic messages like this one. But he will not turn the handle for you. He respects your free will too much. He respects your growth too much. He respects your preparation too much. This is the test of your spiritual readiness. This is the test of your courage. This is the test of your obedience. This is the test of whether you want your blessing enough to walk away from fear. Because opening the door requires something from you. It requires trust. It requires faith. It requires letting go of what holds you back. It requires stepping into the unknown. And that is where many people hesitate. They feel the blessing. They feel the pull. They feel the shift. But fear whispers louder than faith. What if it's not real? What if I'm wrong? What if I get hurt again? What if I make a mistake? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not ready? But here is what God is saying. You are ready. I have prepared you. I have strengthened you. I have refined you. I have equipped you. And I did not bring you this far to leave you now. The enemy wants you to hesitate. He wants you to doubt. He wants you to freeze. Because hesitation is how blessings are lost. Delay is how opportunities die. Fear is how destiny gets postponed. He knows that if you open this door, your life will change permanently. Your direction will shift. Your purpose will accelerate. Your blessings will multiply. Your future will unlock. And he cannot stop what God is sending, but he can try to stop you from receiving it. That is why God's warning sounds serious. Because hesitation can cost you the blessing. Not because God is angry, but because divine timing is precise. The stranger who is coming to bless you is already moving. Their assignment has already begun. Their steps are already ordered. They are being guided toward you. But if you are closed, if you are guarded, if you are distracted, if you are spiritually asleep, if you are stuck in old patterns, you could miss the connection. You could miss the moment. You could miss the divine alignment. This is why the message says, "Open now." Because the blessing has reached the door. It is not coming later. It is not coming someday. It is not coming when you feel ready. It is coming now. And God needs you to be awake enough, aligned enough, and brave enough to open the door. This door may require you to release something. A fear. A person. A memory. A regret. A comfort zone. A limited belief. A toxic connection. A habit that drains your spirit. God will not let you carry anything into the next season that threatens your blessing. If He made something fall apart, it's because it could not go through this door. If someone left, it's because they were not part of this chapter. If something was exposed, it's because God refused to let it follow you into your promise. Opening the door requires one thing. Your yes. Your yes to God's timing. Your yes to God's instruction. Your yes to God's plan, even when it looks different from yours. Your yes to stepping into what you cannot fully see. Your yes to trusting that God did not bring you to this doorway to disappoint you. Because on the other side of this door is not loss. Not heartbreak. Not confusion. Not fear. Not disappointment. On the other side of this door is fulfillment. Breakthrough. Provision. Alignment. Divine connection. Answered prayer. Restored confidence. A miracle tied to your name. A blessing that will anchor your next season. This is your moment. Not next week. Not next month. Not someday. Not eventually. Now. Open the door. Step forward. Trust the pull of the Spirit. Trust what God is doing. Trust the timing. Trust the instruction. Because once this door closes, it will not open again in the same way. And the blessing heaven has been protecting, preparing, and directing toward your life, is waiting for your yes. Like, share, subscribe, and comment to help this message reach those who need it. There are moments in life when everything slows down. Moments when time itself feels different. Moments when the air around you shifts and your spirit becomes unusually aware. These are not ordinary moments. They are divine intersections, places where heaven and earth touch. You are standing inside one right now. A blessing has been instructed to find you. A stranger has been commanded to carry it. A doorway has been placed in front of you. A warning has been released over you. A choice has been placed in your hands. And God is watching your next move closely, not because He is waiting to judge you, but because your obedience is the key that determines what happens next. This blessing is not casual. This moment is not random. This assignment is not replaceable. This is a turning point. A spiritual crossroads. A moment that does not repeat easily. You have no idea how much heaven has already invested into this moment. You do not know how many angels have been dispatched. You do not know how many attacks have already been blocked. You do not know how many plans of the enemy have already been overturned. You do not know how many sacrifices, delays, and divine setups have been orchestrated for this one window of opportunity. But heaven knows. And that is why heaven is speaking with urgency. This blessing is tied to timing. This blessing is tied to obedience. This blessing is tied to movement. And here is a truth few people understand. A blessing that arrives out of season becomes a burden. A blessing that misses its appointed time becomes delayed. A blessing that is rejected moves somewhere else. A blessing that is not received does not wait forever. This is why the message says, "Open now or lose the blessing forever." It is not a threat. It is a spiritual law. There are blessings that can circle back. There are opportunities that can come again. There are moments that can be restored. But there are also blessings that are seasonal, blessings that belong to a specific moment, a specific setup, a specific constellation of God's timing, human choice, spiritual readiness, and divine alignment. When that window closes, the moment cannot be recreated. This is one of those blessings. God is revealing something powerful. You are closer to a breakthrough than you think, but it has a condition. You are closer to an answer than you realize, but it requires openness. You are closer to provision than you expected, but it requires obedience. You are closer to shifting into your new season than you know, but it requires trust. God is saying, "I have placed what you prayed for within reach. But you must recognize the moment when it arrives." And this is where many people lose their blessing, not because God refused to give it, but because they were not spiritually awake enough to receive it. They overthought it. They delayed. They doubted. They feared the unknown. They held on to old stories, old wounds, old patterns, old voices that convinced them to stay where they were instead of stepping into where God was calling them. Hesitation is the enemy of destiny. Delay is the thief of divine timing. Fear is the assassin of answered prayer. And the enemy knows this. He does not need to destroy you to stop your blessing. He just needs to distract you long enough for the window to close. He just needs to keep you uncertain long enough for the moment to pass. He just needs to whisper doubt long enough for you to ignore the nudge. And that is exactly why the spiritual atmosphere around your life has been so active lately. God has been sending signs. The enemy has been sending interference. Your intuition has been pulling. Your emotions have been shifting. Your discernment has been sharpening. Because the moment is near. And both heaven and hell know what is coming. The spiritual realm is watching closely. Heaven sees a blessing approaching. Hell sees a blessing approaching. One is trying to deliver it. The other is trying to distract you from it. You are standing between two voices. One voice says, "Yes, this is God. Move now." The other whispers, "What if you're wrong? What if it's not for you?" But the voice you choose determines the future you step into. God is not asking you for perfection. He is asking you for obedience. He is asking you to trust Him. He is asking you to recognize His timing. He is asking you to say yes even when you don't see the full picture. Because obedience is not about understanding. It is about alignment. Obedience is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting the one who does. Obedience is not about knowing where you're going. It is about following the God who already sees the destination. This blessing requires obedience. Not hesitation. Not fear. Not overthinking. Not waiting for a perfect sign. Not asking for 10 confirmations. The confirmation is already inside you. Your spirit knows this moment is different. Your inner awareness has been rising for days. Your heart has been sensing something you cannot explain. Your intuition has been pointing towards something you cannot see yet. That is the confirmation. That is how God speaks. That is how the Spirit guides. He does not scream, He stirs. And right now, your spirit is stirring because the blessing is close. So close that hesitation could cost you. So close that distraction could delay you. So close that fear could blind you. So close that one wrong step could shift the timeline. You have been praying for a miracle. But now the miracle is praying for your obedience. You have been waiting for a blessing. But now the blessing is waiting for your yes. You have been asking for change. But now heaven is waiting for you to step into it. And here is one of the deepest truths God wants you to understand. What is coming toward you is not ordinary. This blessing carries restoration. This blessing carries healing. This blessing carries direction. This blessing carries financial breakthrough. This blessing carries emotional relief. This blessing carries the answer to what kept you awake at night. This blessing carries the solution you could not reach by yourself. This blessing carries the next phase of your calling. This blessing carries generational impact. And because it is so big, it requires a bigger version of you to receive it. The version of you who doubts easily cannot receive this blessing. The version of you who overthinks everything cannot receive this blessing. The version of you who fears change cannot receive this blessing. The version of you who clings to the past cannot receive this blessing. The version of you who waits for others to validate you cannot receive this blessing. This blessing is meant for the version of you who is ready to trust God without needing the full explanation. The version of you who is willing to walk through the door without seeing everything on the other side. The version of you who is spiritually awake, alert, and aligned. The version of you who believes that if God brought the blessing to the door, He will sustain you once you step through it. God is calling you higher. He is calling you deeper. He is calling you forward. He is calling you out of comfort and into purpose. He is calling you out of fear and into courage. He is calling you out of survival and into abundance. He is calling you out of the old and into the new. But to step into that calling, you must open the door. And opening the door means saying yes. Even when your mind wants to say wait. It means trusting God. Even when the unknown feels intimidating. It means recognizing the stranger He sends. Even when the connection feels unexpected. It means believing the blessing is yours. Even when parts of your past tell you otherwise. This is your moment. This is your test. This is your opportunity. This is your season of divine alignment. Do not let hesitation cost you the blessing. Do not let fear anchor you to the past. Do not let overthinking push you out of position. Do not let the enemy distract you at the doorway of destiny. You prayed for this. You waited for this. You cried for this. You survived battles for this. You grew stronger for this. You healed for this. You changed for this. And now the blessing is here. Not near, here. At the door. Waiting. All that is left is your yes. Open the door. Receive what God has sent. Walk into what heaven has appointed. Trust the divine timing. Welcome the unexpected blessing. And believe that God knows what He is doing. Because if you obey now, The blessing that enters your life next will change everything. Like, share, subscribe, and comment to help this message reach others who need it. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey where the path narrows. Not because God is trying to make your life difficult, but because He is trying to make the decision clear. Right now, you are standing at such a moment, the kind of moment that shapes destinies, closes chapters, opens breakthroughs, and separates the season you came out of, from the season you are about to enter. For weeks, maybe months, something inside you has been sensing it. A subtle pressure. A gentle discomfort. A strange internal shift. A stirring you couldn't describe with words. It was God narrowing your path. Because when the path narrows, excuses fall away. When the path narrows, distractions disappear. When the path narrows, you can no longer run in two directions. You must choose. And this is why God is speaking so seriously to you today, because the decision you are about to make, or avoid making, will determine whether you walk into the blessing He sent, or whether you watch it slip away. God says this clearly: this is the last door I am opening for this season. Not as a threat. Not as punishment. But as divine timing. Every blessing, every breakthrough, every opportunity, every miracle has a spiritual window attached to it. When heaven opens that window, everything aligns. When the window closes, that alignment disappears. The blessing God sent through a stranger, the unexpected provision, the divine connection, the open path in front of you, it is all part of a timed moment. A moment designed in heaven. A moment crafted for you. A moment meant to shift your life. But here is the truth God needs you to hear. Your hesitation is the only thing standing between you and the life He has prepared. Not lack. Not enemies. Not spiritual attack. Not delay. Not circumstances. Hesitation. You have been praying for clarity, but the clarity already came. You asked for confirmation, but the confirmation was sent 7 times. You asked for a sign, but God placed the sign right in front of you. And now, heaven is watching your reaction. Will you move? Will you obey? Will you trust? Will you step forward? Or will you do what you have always done, think about it until the moment passes? There is a deep spiritual truth that most people never learn. Every blessing God releases comes with an expiration date, not because His love expires, but because the season around the blessing changes. A seed can only grow in the right season. A door only stays open for the appointed time. An opportunity only bears fruit when you step through it. This is why God is speaking so urgently to you today. Heaven sees what you cannot see. Heaven knows what is coming toward you. Heaven recognizes the importance of the moment you are standing in. And that is why God said, "This is the last time I will warn you about this. Move now." But understand this, when God says, move, He does not mean run blindly. He does not mean act in fear. He does not mean rush without wisdom. He does not mean jump into chaos. He means, trust the direction I have already given. Follow the sign I already revealed. Respond to the tug I placed in your spirit. Walk through the door I opened in front of you. Because right now, your spirit knows exactly what God is talking about. Your heart already knows the area He is pointing to. Your soul has already felt it. This message is not bringing something new, it is confirming what has been repeating inside you for days. The same area where you feel pressure, the same area where you feel nervous, the same area where you feel unsure, is the exact place where your breakthrough is waiting. But the breakthrough will not come until you obey. And this is why hesitation is so dangerous. Hesitation gives fear time to speak. Hesitation gives doubt time to grow. Hesitation gives old wounds time to reappear. Hesitation gives the enemy time to create confusion. And confusion is the thief of destiny. You cannot think your way into a blessing. You cannot procrastinate your way into breakthrough. You cannot delay your way into obedience. At some point, God requires motion. This next part is important. When the Israelites stood at the Red Sea, God parted the waters, but nothing happened until they stepped forward. When Peter saw Jesus on the water, the invitation came, but nothing happened until he lifted his foot and stepped out of the boat. When Abraham was told to leave his homeland, the promise was real, but nothing changed until he actually moved. When the widow poured her last oil, the miracle was already assigned, but it only multiplied once she acted. Miracles rarely happen when you stand still. They happen when you respond. Heaven has already arranged the blessing. The stranger has already been assigned. The opportunity has already been released. The door has already been opened. The protection has already been placed around you. But God won't force you through the door. He will show you the door. He will warn you about the door. He will encourage you toward the door. But He will not push you through it. Because blessings require partnership. Breakthrough requires obedience. Destiny requires decision. God says, "Do not let fear negotiate your future. Do not let confusion steal what I have already prepared for you. Do not let hesitation close a door I opened with my own hand." This is your moment. This is your turning point. This is the decision that shifts your season. This is the last warning before the window closes. What God is sending, you cannot afford to miss. What God is restoring, you cannot afford to delay. What God is unlocking, you cannot afford to ignore. What God is commanding, you cannot afford to debate. The blessing is approaching you faster than you think. The stranger carrying your breakthrough is closer than you realize. The provision is already in motion. The miracle is already on its way. The open door is already waiting. Now the question becomes, will you move? And as you reflect on this message, take a moment to do what helps this message reach more people who need it, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment so this word of God can continue to bless others exactly when they need it most.